Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation. And today, my guest is Polo REO Tate. And I have interviewed her before. I have met her before many times online like this. And I wish to meet her one day physically too. So I will introduce Polo REO Tate briefly and then ask this main question to her, opening question. So Polo REO Tate is an author by soul, actor by trade, artist at heart, and uplifter to the core of her being. She is the author of Deep Dark Blue, a memoir of survival, and she's also writing a new book at this time with the working title Worthy: How to Live an All-Win Life. So we'll talk today. We'll talk a lot more about dance around the topic of the her new book. But before that, that opening question: how would you describe yourself today? Who is Polo as of this moment?
I love this question to start with because authenticity is an in the moment realization of that which we truly are, right?
Right, right.
And today I really embody, I think, my personal mission right now. And that is I'm here to be the full expression of my true self, and from that state invite and ignite others to do the same.
Mm.
I think like that just it opens my heart, it wraps my soul in what I'm here to do. It allows me to truly embrace what I feel like is a present, boots on the ground soul mission.
Right. That's beautiful, though. That's really wonderful. And I wish everyone would answer that question the same way. Of course, that's the vision, and who knows? So, how did you? I usually ask this follow-up question. You probably are familiar with. How did you come to these understandings of who you are? Like, how did you come to this to become what do you feel to the core you are today, and of what are you doing too, Polo? You know, the your expression in this reality. How all this came together.
Through a lot of pain.
Yeah.
As
Yes.
it does, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to be human sometimes. And I think
Yes.
all of us right now, especially given the ire of the country and the world and the
Yeah.
and how difficult we've seen over the last couple of years that it has been to be
Yeah.
human, boots on the ground.
Mm.
Um, it came through a dynamic ride of some ecstatic joy and some devastating and heart-wrenching loss and
Yeah.
struggle and violence and really harsh sort of self-injury. There's a
Right.
lot to this dynamic life experience, and I came in with a curiosity about what this was all about, and I think we all do.
Right.
And to try to make sense of it, I had some beautiful teachers and some beautiful mentors that I found through tripping over my own
Mhm.
circumstance
Yeah.
and went
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole with, um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
started me off and really guided me on this beautiful journey. So it's been a journey of curiosity, which is
Wow.
the biggest tool that we have in our
Mm. Mm. Being curious, yeah. Which to me, it's the same as being open, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and is this something that where you are today, the way you feel about yourself, grounded and authentic, and expressing yourself the way you do, which to me it's very spiritual, the way you speak, the way you express yourself, the way you write, the messages are highly spiritual. So is this something we can actually learn without suffering, without pain? Is that possible, Paula?
I think that is the quintessential question.
Yeah.
And I also think that we sometimes, because we've tasted it and we've seen it, and we've experienced struggle ourselves, sometimes we recoil so much, not wanting to experience any
Mm,
pain, not
yeah.
wanting to experience any struggle, and we either
Yeah.
hold ourselves back or from life.
Yeah.
We set ourselves on the
True.
sidelines of our
Yeah.
own life.
Yeah.
And if we have children, we wanna wrap them in bubble wrap, and we wanna
Yeah.
protect them from the world and not, let them
Mm,
experience life. But I'll tell you
yeah.
this,
Yeah.
we are spiritually protected, if you want to use that.
Uh,
We are safe in the essence of what we're doing here in this
yeah.
human experience.
Uh,
And through when we were so afraid, we put ourselves in denial of either any pain or anything that bothers us. And when we do that, we allow these monsters of shame and anger and guilt and
mm,
those monsters to grow in the darkness of our denial. And it
right.
creates a chasm. It creates space between our soul self,
Yeah.
the stream of life force energy with a big E, a capital E,
Right. Right.
streams through us, and our human self, our persona. And if that chasm is allowed to get bigger, it disconnects us from the fact that we are supported by the universe. We are supported by our souls. We are Our soul self is taking our human self on this beautiful journey of awakening. And part of that is a little bit of pain.
Mm,
There is an absolute way to learn how to be still and be present enough to hear the guidance that is coming to us and through us in every single moment, and to move from our highest excitement and our purpose, and to not only live on purpose but live in purpose. There
yeah.
is a way to do that, to avoid
Mm,
some of the ridiculous pain, but contrast is part of this experience too.
it is. I love that. Not with purpose, but in purpose. In a way, I thought about not just with God, but in God, right? Or in pure consciousness. Everything's happening in that. Um, I guess I have, I mentioned off record briefly, and I'll make a comment now about feelings because that has to do with what you said about pain and kind of experiencing everything, not ignoring anything. But also, there's the part of getting lost and anger and fear, basically, because they are expressions of resentment and all that, of fear. So I'll give one example from my own personal life. I won't mention just specific names or the situation specifically, so we don't. This doesn't hurt anybody. But I have been experiencing this within myself. The uh, let's say the presence of feelings that I wish they were not there when facing injustice, when seeing, let's say, the manifestation of fear at full bloom, just doing, let's say, even the war that's happening now between Russia and Ukraine. So but then when that war comes closer, in a sense, is within our own family, kind of realm, or friends. So I have experienced recently that. So something happened that was um, unfair. And then I cried in the moment because of the presence of those feelings, because I felt like all my spiritual practices and the spiritual knowledge I have just went out of the window. I'm like, how come? I have been committed to this. I committed my entire life to spirituality and to find what the truth is. Of course, I did a lot of meditation after that, and then little by little, clarity came and just telling me what it is. But from your perspective, and the perspective of people who listen to this, watch this video, is that something that's actually natural to feel the way we do in the moment when something, an injustice, abuse occurs? Yeah. And how do we, yeah, talk to me about how are we supposed to feel about those feelings? Because, sometimes it's not such an interesting dance.
Ah, it's a fascinating dance, and I'm so sorry that you had to witness that, first of all, and
Yeah.
experience it yourself,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that you cried, and those feelings that come up within us and that,
Yeah.
sometimes even rage within us,
Yeah.
all of that is part of what we came here to experience as
Mm,
human
yeah.
beings.
Right.
Feelings, emotions, they tell us, they're our GPS navigation system
Yes.
for what is in true resonance with our soul self, our source self, and
Right.
what is in resonance with in comparison to our human self. So
Right.
if those feelings weren't ignited when you witness injustice, or when you witness violence, or
Yeah.
when you witness anything,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't need to be here anymore in this
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So this is your beautiful filter to let you know personally, pardon me, where there are areas in you that need healing,
Right.
and how to go about it's a big
Mm.
old bullseye
Yes.
to be like, "What bothers me so much about this
Right.
experience?
Right.
What brings up those feelings of injustice in my life? Where
Right.
in my childhood did I feel that and that I couldn't speak out, and now I feel
Mm.
defenseless,
Mm.
taken advantage of, and
Yeah.
powerless,
Yeah.
and totally vulnerable?"
Yes.
And
Yes.
allowing yourself to experience those feelings, not throwing yourself into spiritual bypass because of all of
Mm.
that we
Right.
know intellectually,
Right.
and look at a situation that is so violent and unfair, full of injustice, and say love and light without processing all of our feelings
Mm.
that are coming up.
Right.
That's part of the process, and who says that isn't spiritual?
Right. Right.
So, giving yourself a chance to do exactly what you did, to feel those feelings, to cry. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
if there's a situation that's violent right in front of you, do anything that you can and you feel called to do to stop that
Of
situation
course. Yeah.
and to intervene and all of that
Yes.
good
Yeah.
stuff and get to a safe space and get to a private place.
Yeah.
And at the same time, all of us are little children in
This is true.
and usually emotionally arrested in our development
Yeah.
at some points, at some different points of trauma.
Mm.
Instead, so often, what we do is abandon that inner child until we feel better. We know better. Our adult brain knows better. So you don't
Yes.
give up, and otherwise, and then I'll come back to talk to you when you stop crying.
Yes. Yeah. True.
Instead of doing that, you did a an amazing thing, which was to take a time out, take a
Yes.
and look at this wounded inner child. Look at where you're feeling that pain. And look that little girl in the face and be like, "I
Mm.
am right here. I am so sorry that you're hurting, but I'm right here, and I'm not leaving
Mm.
until you feel better. How do
Mhm.
you feel?" And allow your inner child, your inner self, that vulnerable, beautiful place inside of you that speaks so highly and so strongly and so clearly through our emotions, turning straight into that little face and asking it, "How do you feel, honey? I'm right here. I'm
Yeah.
not leaving. You're safe."
Mm. Yeah.
It's when we don't allow ourselves to feel or we think we know better, so we take this big old beautiful mind of ours and we override what
Yes.
our emotions are telling us, that
Right.
we get into trouble.
Right. Beautifully said, Polo. So it is the only part, I guess, that I'm trying to process in the moment now with you is the inner child. So that, in a way, you're saying that refers back to a situation that I went through, a trauma. Is that okay to, is that natural per se, to also feel those feelings without any reference to the past? Because I'm very much into the, as you said beautifully too in the introduction of your book, your new book, Worthy, about everything happens in the moment, life and healing. Beautifully said. I have that here. So, is that possible to not reference the past and be in the moment and have those feelings here now and knowing, trusting that that's natural? To feel those feelings, or being spiritual and not having all this knowledge, we're not supposed to feel those feelings unless we have a residue of trauma.
Your question poses such a beautiful nugget of conversation, and that is that everything is happening in the now.
Yeah.
The past doesn't exist. The only way the past exists if we recollect something and bring it into the present and activate it. The
Mm.
future doesn't exist yet. It's only if we project ourselves in the future and create it in the now moment.
Yeah.
So everything is now. So your sadness can be born anew in this moment.
Yes.
And you know what? Things around here can feel
Mm.
pretty sad sometimes.
Mm.
And
Yes.
our human perspective, our selves that are here, that are kinetic beings, that are watching and touching and physical beings with sensorial chakras and sensations all over our body, we experience the corporeal reality that is right in front of us. And
Right.
sometimes things are extremely sad. We
Yes.
have to allow ourselves to feel those things in the moment. Because first of all, we came to feel the full range of human emotion.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
we're here. Our
Yeah.
spiritual self knows all of this. They
Mm.
know that there's really everybody has a soul agreement. Everybody's here for a certain
Yeah.
amount of time to work out whatever their soul wants and needs to work out.
Right.
Have that perspective from a broader perspective that is beautifully and inextricably linked with our mind and body. We
Right.
have that perspective. We came down here to remember who we truly are.
Mm.
Remember that we're all three, body, mind, and spirit. And you
Right.
know what? Sometimes the body hurts. Sometimes the body sees
Mm.
somebody else in pain, and you being the empathetic, incredible soul that you are, cannot help but feel that pain.
Yeah.
And that's in the moment,
Yeah.
and it's completely warranted.
Yes.
The difference between conditioning and consciousness is how you choose to take
Mm.
that pain and
Right.
process it yourself or hurt
Right.
another person.
Right. Right. Oh,
So
love. Yes.
your ability your
Yes.
ability and your spiritual work and your spiritual
Yes.
evolution and the fact that you are such an evolved soul, that you can recognize that and process it yourself without hurting another person,
Right. Right.
that's
Right.
consciousness. That
Right.
is consciousness.
I have to say that what you just said is it's just spiritual wisdom to me. So feeling the feelings, it's natural, acknowledging them, but not acting from that place. Because once we do, then I mean that's what they call it karma. Then we are just kind of moving the wheel of karma, in a sense of cause and effect, because that's what this realm feels very much to me. The body mind complex, that they're very much triggered by cause and effect. You do this, you get this. You do this, you get. So we need, if we are spiritually conscious, then we'll just stop there at the level of thinking, of feelings, and we'll move into action. How do you feel about that, Polo? Because we know everything's energy and thinking, thoughts are energy. So would you think that even that um, kind of allowing ourselves to dwell a little bit more than necessary in these feelings, would that become some sort of karma? Would that harm others energetically?
That's such a good question, and it's one that I've asked myself on and off forever,
Yeah.
because for all in my childhood and growing up all the way until my
Uh-huh.
adulthood,
Yeah.
I never thought it was acceptable to feel anger. I never thought it was acceptable to certainly not show anger at all.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do with the pain and the sadness and the tremendous trauma, and the emotional cloud and charge and baggage and trigger from that trauma. I
Yes.
didn't know if all of
Yeah.
those things were unacceptable, if what we consider negative emotions were unacceptable. What
Right.
do you do with all of that? What do
Right.
you do?
Yeah.
And for years, I thought, "I should not think
Yeah.
this thought, nor should I express this
Yeah.
emotion, otherwise
Yeah.
I will put it out into the world and it will
Yeah.
harm someone," like
Yes.
that
Yeah.
that
Right. Right.
self-regulatory spiritual diatribe that we have. And it's
Yes.
really our
Yes.
spiritual ego. It's really that
Right.
spiritual ego, which is
Mm.
our egos being our protector and our petulant inner child
Right.
who wants us to feel safe and do well and be accepted in this world and in this realm.
Right.
It's where that you sort of get that spiritual bravado being like,
Yeah.
"You know better. Uh,
Yes.
don't put that thought out into the world." Well,
Right.
the minute we're told not to do something,
Mm.
our neurology is hardwired to A, answer any questions that we ask it,
Yeah.
and to B, rebel if we're told not to do something.
Mm.
The universe doesn't
Yes.
hear no, right? It just hears what we
Ah.
focus on. It's this beautiful vibrational language that responds to wherever we take this beautiful stream of energy that is flowing through to us and through us at every single moment, we take that and we focus it wherever we see fit.
Right.
So whatever we focus on gets bigger, right?
Right.
Where focus goes, energy flows. Like
Right.
that's the way.
Mm.
So if we stay in those really harmful, dark thoughts,
Mm.
and we move out of that 90 seconds of emotional refractory period, which is usually how long it takes for us to feel emotion.
Yeah.
90 seconds. 90
Oh, that's
seconds.
quick. Yeah. Yeah.
If we
Wow.
if we use our mind to focus our energy on that for longer and longer, so much so that it becomes a mood, so much so that it becomes
Wow.
a diagnosis, so much
Mm.
so, if we do that with
Mm.
our minds, if we allow our minds to do that,
Right.
then it turns into something that could be not helpful and not serving what we could experience, which is allow those emotions to pass through you.
Yeah.
Allow them to ignite whatever ignites you in the moment, because that is your human body physiological chemical reaction.
Right.
And then with everything that allow yourself to be with that. Be
Mm.
present with those emotions. It's the only way that they immediately start to dissipate.
Right.
And then use that beautiful mind of ours to really look at the scenario. Okay, first of all, is it still happening? Is the trauma, the pain,
Mm.
sadness, the injustice, is it still happening right in front of me? Am I
Right.
still in danger? Am I still in the moment of peril? If
Right.
not, okay,
Right.
now I have my work. Now I know how to process it out of my physical body, move it out of my cells, allow this beautiful mind to do what it does
Mm.
best, just go down that beautiful rabbit hole of what we do know and allow
Mm.
it to translate through our physicality and our physiology. Let ourselves walk in nature, put our feet
Mm.
in the grass, punch into a
Yeah.
pillow, scream at the top of a mountain, whatever catharsis you
Yeah.
need to do to get that out of your cellular body,
Right.
then come right back to your center and check in. How do I feel? Okay, that was a big one. And it may come up again, and our minds may, pull it up and let it rear its ugly head. That's the way to process it again, you know?
Yeah. It really does, Paul. It takes being open, being receptive, being courageous, and there's also something about uh, allowing ourselves to be human, fully human, without fear. So that is love, isn't it? So that being open and taking action from a place of clarity. That is love. I'll say something now that's kind of morbid in a way, but it's something that happened to a friend of mine, and at a very small scale happened to me. Well, I don't want to say the whole story because I don't want it to be recognized in a way, just because I don't want to expose anyone who doesn't want to be exposed. But basically, he went to somebody to ask for something that that person had taken from him, that he owned him. And the person pulled the gun. That was not my friend. There was a friend of his friend, but he pulled a gun and killed him. And that's something that happened in this reality. So I remember listening to that when it happened, and I could not believe. So I guess the question to you is ignorance. What is your take on that? How do you see the works of ignorance being perpetuated, and how what do we what is called to do? What can we do about it, Polo? Ignorance. I don't want to even get the idea of karma here because I know it's real too. But there's also the fact of ignorance, pure ignorance.
Ugh, my heart breaks for the human part of you and having to deal with that loss and in such a shocking and violent way.
Right.
Sorry, I love you. And at
Yeah.
the same time, with everything that has to do with our mortality, our physical corporeal mortality,
Yeah.
in order to wrap our minds around it, our hearts around it,
Yeah.
and our human brains around it, it's really important to take 3 gigantic cosmic steps
Mm,
back,
mm,
and to look at it from the perspective that we are infinite beings,
yes,
we are timeless.
yes,
When we, our soul self, eh, streams our energy into a physical existence, when that source energy, which, by the way, is the frequency of love, it's the best way we can
yes,
describe it. When
right,
that frequency of love energy vibrates into a physical the density of matter,
yeah,
that change of frequency, that such a powerful high resonating frequency coming into the density of matter means that whatever is material is temporal. It means that there is
um,
an endpoint at some point.
right,
Then depending on whatever you believe, we'll come back and our infinite stream of energy, our infinite soul self, our source self
yeah,
will come back and do it again and do it again and do it again, whatever you believe.
mm,
But our physical bodies, this matter that we have, it's temporal.
right,
And in that, not only is not only are we playing things out here on earth, but our soul self and our source self, from the source of its origin at its point, our source of energy,
yeah,
has got our bodies and our lifetimes on lock. We've got them
yeah,
exactly nestled in the heart of whatever our soul journeys are. And in
mm,
things like witnessing a child being killed or a child dying before, witnessing things like murder and violence,
yeah,
besides the in your face having to deal with witnessing something against you, because we're all one, not one and the same, but witnessing violence against the
right,
part of us that is one, we have to deal with that. And to try to understand it, it's important to then go back to that perspective and look from a broader perspective, being like,
yeah,
their soul self, their source self is playing something out that we do not
mm,
understand or
mm,
fathom, nor
mm,
do we need to. We just need to know that the infinite nature of their essence,
mm,
infinite nature of
mm,
their being, and we are cavorting and playing and all part of the same source.
right,
Meaning when we feel love and we show love to them and we think
mm,
of them in love, that not only is healing,
yeah,
but it's in the moment rendezvousing with the essence of who they are,
right,
which is how our human selves can
yeah,
deal with the departure in the physical realm, because we're never departed in
mm,
our spiritual soul self. We're never departed from the energy. We're infinite in that nature.
right. It's true. I love that wisdom.
It gives us ease, right? It gives us ease to understand that we're gonna
Yes,
see things that we don't understand in this physical experience, that we cannot conceive, that we
right,
cannot possibly comprehend from your giant heart and how you live that heart in a physical body, how somebody else in their physical body could do harm like that to another.
right,
It is inconceivable.
right,
And from a broader perspective, it's okay that it's inconceivable to us, because
mm.
there is something going on with their source self that is for only them and their journey to understand.
So we don't know everything, obviously. Yeah, with the human mind, we can't
We don't know
comprehend these
everything,
things.
but we do know this, the most important thing, that we are all connected at our source,
Right,
that
right.
we are all love at our source. And love
Yes,
can be fierce and it can be bold, but it is always, always, always working in our infinite best interest,
right,
regardless of what happens in each lifetime.
right. Yes, yes. You see that you speak of trust. That's something that well, that's the foundation of my human experience. It has been for years now. Trust. Whatever happens, just trust. um, and then there's you see, when you speak of the spiritual perspective, just looking from this broader view, the big picture, we don't know everything, and this that sounds wonderful to me and a lot of spiritual seekers, spiritual people like yourself as well, of course, and all of us who are in this trying to become our the manifestation of that. But I wonder for those who they have not invested a lot of time or energy into, the spiritual conversations, the spiritual work, and then something like this happened to them. So they don't have that broader perspective. The question I was trying to really get to the core of it is this sense of coming from love and coming from clarity and from inner peace, but still doing something about it. Injustice we're called to do, per se, like in my case, that's a calling. So but for me it's not even an action because I didn't have to do anything, but there's something that I have been constantly asking: why now? Why now? In the moment, why now? Why? What am I ignoring here? Because I do see any kind of suffering as a form of ignorance, in a sense of ignoring the truth. So do you also abide, per se, with this idea of coming from love, clarity, peace, but still doing something about it when injustice, when we are faced with it? And Paulo, even before you answer that, now is actually is a good time because you have written your first book is Deep Dark Blue, and I know you have given a lot of interviews about it. Talk to me for a moment about that because that has to do it's almost like the story in the book, what you have, what you went through there. It's unconceivable to me as well.
It's interesting when our journey of processing emotions, situations, traumas involves other people, right? It
Yes,
involves
yeah,
potential legality.
right.
In it's a sticky
Yeah.
wicket. It feels like a sticky wicket when that happens.
Yes.
But I know that for my own self and my own journey, in the spirit of as within, so without, as
Yeah.
above, so below, the macrocosm is in the microcosm, all of those truisms that we know to be true, I know that when I change internally, I
Mm,
change my world around me.
yes. Yes.
So primarily, that's my work.
Yeah.
And at the same time, love means love one of the most powerful aspects of love is our willingness and courage to show ourselves self-love. And part
Yes.
of how to
Mm,
show ourselves self-love in this world is to set boundaries.
yeah.
Boundaries are not for other people. Boundaries are for
Yes.
ourselves.
So true.
And whatever violation we
Mm.
have felt and therefore want
Ah.
to curb from happening again, that's where those boundaries come in. And
Mm.
it's hard not to get carried away with that person should pay or whatever
Mm.
mentality, like, they need to, pay for what they
Yeah. Right.
without really doing the internal work and then letting the justice system
Mm.
take care of what it does best and
Right.
what is their superpower, which is letting it go through the court system or putting a person in jail, as you say.
Right.
But the main work is to not only get yourself into a safe scenario and a safe situation, and however by any means necessary,
Yeah.
um, but is to really be with yourself, be courageous and willing enough with yourself to really look at the trauma and how it affected you,
Yeah.
what you need to do for your own emotional safety, emotional
Mm.
processing, trigger, um, uh,
Yeah.
transcendence, and really um, working your way to
Yeah.
transform that situation within. And it
Yes.
can happen
Mm.
simultaneously as the legal system plays out. And if you have advocates around you to be able to do that, amazing. There are angels that come in whose
Yeah.
superpower and calling it is for them to help you will come in beautifully at that
True.
time. And with the with a beautiful knowing that we have that if we create our own reality, and this is regardless of if you know this or not, what we do inside, the work that we are courageous and willing to do within ourselves to heal changes our world outside of
Mm.
ourselves. So
Mm.
the emphasis and the focus is primarily and paramountly always there
Yeah.
because from that healed space, you are so much more likely to be able to go through a court scenario, to be able to go through that and not lose yourself and not react with anger or self
Mm.
self-injury or self-harm,
Yeah.
not react in a way that's harmful to yourself or others.
True.
But it gives you that stability and safety and trust that
Yeah.
you are in control. You are sovereign and free. You have the authority in your life. You exercise that authority and empowerment with every choice that you
Mm.
make. And from that empowered place, watch as things unfold with every micro choice you make from that authentic and inspired and empowered place of healing, of healing, of healing.
Wow. What can I say? Nothing. That is so true. Boundaries. Yeah. That has been my, the situation that happened to me recently. It was came from that place, not saying no. I was not able to say no. I kept saying yes many times until I blew up. So yes, yes. Wow, wisely. Yeah, spiritually wise, clear. It's just all in one there. Yes, Polo. Right.
And it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
The more that we do it and the more that we practice it and the more that we're courageous enough
Yeah.
to take a beat and look at it, really look at it,
Yeah.
the easier and easier it becomes. And the more clear it becomes.
Right. Right. Yeah. Now it is. Yeah. It takes courage to right to follow up on that because there's something in me that before was a practice being kind. So it was a huge not hurting others. So, and then to the expense of hurting myself. And I remember just saying yes to things that I really did wanted to say no. And then I suffered for so long doing that, and throughout that experience of trying to be kind but not truthful. So now it's crucial that I do that. Just bring this into manifestation. Just be kind but true. It's almost like I want to reverse that in a way, Polo. Instead of kind, speaking with kindness, with truth, I want to reverse that. I want to be true but kind. So truth has to come first. In that has become like this guiding principle for my life because I know that if I do that, then my relationship with my family and friends will be so much more authentic. And even if I have to lose them, it will be okay. But yeah, it takes courage, doesn't it, to let it go in the name of truth. Just it's
It
okay to let go too. Yeah.
tremendous courage. And I love, love, love what you say about making sure you're resolute in what feels true to you.
Yes.
And then using kindness to communicate.
Yes. Right.
You
Yeah.
you you
Yeah.
hearken upon, like, one of the golden nuggets of this whole
Yeah.
earthly experience is clarity. When
Yeah.
we come from a place of clarity, meaning when we are deep in our authentic essence,
Yeah.
remembering that there are no accidents. We all came in
Mm.
with these constellation of attributes, these preferences, these weirdo idiosyncrasies. We all came
Yes.
in our
Yeah.
own individual weirdness. No
So true.
accidents. It's not only, it's not only fun, it's vital and
Yeah.
imperative that we be our authentic self.
Yes.
So, when we get to know ourselves wholly in that way, and when we learn how to love ourselves unconditionally in that way, meaning whatever feels true to you is right for you
Yeah.
in the moment. It's not
Yes.
an indictment for the rest of your life.
Yes.
In the moment, realization of that which we truly are.
Yeah.
That's authenticity. So if you're coming from a place of that resonant, aligned truth, then you offer the other person with
Ah,
clarity
ah,
a choice in that moment.
mhm.
Either they can align with that or they can meet you at another time and place.
Right.
And it's not this sweeping
Ah,
generalization where if
right,
you say no, they're out of your life. It is an offering in the moment of
right.
your truth and clarity,
Yes.
something that they can witness and not feel any split energy about. They can't try to
Mm,
they convince you otherwise or
yeah.
make you say yes when you really don't want to. It's that clarity that they can see and then have it's a gift to give them the choice. Okay, well, if
Mm,
do feel that way, and that's clear, then what am I gonna do with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I can either do this or that.
Yeah.
And it with utter love,
Yeah.
because it's nothing but love
Yeah.
straight from our source to
Yeah.
allow people to be who they are,
Mm,
where they are, when
mm, mm. Yes, that's freedom, isn't it? Yeah.
oh,
Because that's what consciousness is, freedom. Yeah.
it's freedom.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
such freedom.
Yeah. Wow, Polo, do you coach these days? Do you have a coaching page? Talk to me about that because I love the way you I know I've been talking to you almost like as a student, and I'm put myself in that position of
And you, by the
yeah,
way,
and you're
always.
so beautiful.
And
Yeah, yeah, and I love the way you kind of made the very clear to parts of me who was kind of still kind of dancing around that. So that's wonderful. So do you offer coaching through online, in person? Talk to me about that for a moment.
usually I do. I have video courses, and I'm actually about to launch a bunch of new content, which is really cool.
Yeah,
And so that type of, container and supportive space is going to be available pretty soon, and especially with the
yeah,
launch of this book. And then
yeah,
I tend to do events. So I tend
yeah,
to go in and do speaking events and one-on-one or, workshops that are smaller in nature.
yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of ground
Wow.
we cover when all of us are willing to come into a space and have the courage to talk about life and how it
Yes.
comes at us,
Oh my
for
God.
us, but ultimately from us.
Mm. Yes. Wow, that sounds wonderful. So you do group too, group workshops, groups. Yeah, I love that idea. And we already talked about this before about the possibility of you coming here
Yeah,
to Florida so we can do something together. And I believe in flow too and timing. If something doesn't flow, I just kind of stop and I don't force things to happen.
beautiful.
As we know, freedom, right, is what is the ground of this, of what the truth is really. So let's see, Polo. We're almost at the end of this interview. Wow, I will talk to you for another, for eternity, really. And
Me too, right
that's,
back at you. Beautiful
yeah.
heart.
So your website is for to get more information about you. I do have your website here. If I can get before you. Yeah, so polotate.com, and I'll have the website here for everyone below the video. So when is if it's okay to ask, the new book, Worthy, How to Live an All In, All Win Life? Do you have an idea about the release date so we know?
It's a really good question. My guess is about 3 months from now. I will absolutely keep you posted. It will be all
Yes.
over my social
Yeah.
media. It will be all over my website. I will let you know so that if you'd like to, push it out to your audience as well, yes, come on board. Like,
Yes.
an open-hearted
Yes.
conversation about
Yeah.
life and really how to live a life of deep authenticity and true, freedom, consummate freedom, and true
Yeah.
fulfillment.
Yeah, yeah. So please let me know, and I'll update
Yeah,
the video too, the notes, the
sure.
descriptions, with that, with the book link, of course. So yes, and that's what the resonance is every time we talk, and it seems like we come to that understanding again. It comes back, freedom, because that's what it is, isn't it, Polo? Freedom. So it's freedom within, knowing that kind of uh, living that freedom within, and then expressing that freedom, which means exactly what you said, letting what is, how people express themselves to be what it is. We're not trying to change, but to understand. So from the notes, I still have so many notes here from your book. Let me see if there's anything we didn't cover. This is the introduction of your book, right, Paula? The section you sent me. So I highlighted some of the. We talked about source energy and healing in life happening in the moment. There's something else that I wanted to mention. Yes, when you say you are exactly where you need to be right here in this moment. So that gives us a sense, automatic sense of, instant sense of freedom, of release, doesn't it? When I looked at it, just reflected, read it, and then I kind of took a deep breath right there and there. Yeah, we are exactly where we need to be. Right. Do you want to make a comment about that?
So often we think that we should be somewhere else. We think
Yeah.
that we should be someone else. We think that we should be better, do better, all of those things. And
Yes.
it is so important to remember that when we have that, first of all, we live in an inclusive universe, right? Like nothing happens outside of the now. The now
Mm,
is where every single thing happens,
yeah.
meaning in the now, everything is here.
Yes.
Everything is available. Everything in existence is here and available right now.
Right.
So when we feel that pang of something missing, when we feel that pang of, what am I doing with my life? I should be here by now. I should be
Yeah.
there by now. I should be this by now.
Yes.
When we feel in the moment that something is missing and we're not remembering that everything is here and available,
Mm,
it's usually because part of us is missing from this generous present moment,
mm,
right?
mm.
And the biggest and quickest and most efficient way to feel into that spot of remembering that everything is here and available, all we have is now, and the entire existence exists in this moment,
Right.
is to get present by any means necessary. Touch your face,
Yeah.
pick a sense, pick
Yeah.
your ears, your sense of hearing, and
Yeah.
close your eyes and listen for all the ambient noise.
Right.
Breathe that somatic bridge between
Mm.
your body and your spirit. Like,
Yeah.
do some breath work, put your toes in the grass, ground yourself, dance around your kitchen,
Mm.
move
Yeah.
in a way that inspires you, get back into your whatever, by whatever means necessary, get present. Do something
Yeah.
that puts you in the flow state where you lose time and space. This
Yeah.
is the generosity of the present moment.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to get there, you have now landed in the place where everything exists. And from that space,
Mhm.
the world is yours.
Ah, possibilities. Yeah. That's where choices come from, right? Being
Infinite
present.
possibilities.
Wow. That's wonderful. And and I wish it can become a practice for all of us. Like we can reflect that, go deep as you have been to come to this felt understanding. It's so real, isn't it? It's so true. Polo, you just reminded me. Speaking of presence, being in the moment, all possibilities are here. I remember I was every morning when I wake up, I get my water and then my ginger, and then I go on the porch, like outside in the backyard, and then I do my stretch, my yoga, whatever, in the breathing exercise, meditation. And then there's not every day, but there's a man that neighbor. He coughs really loud, like he's sick, like loud. And then the thought that comes, I'm very aware, so I'm listening to myself, says, "Oh no, th- could that reach me? Whatever it is, like COVID or flu, whatever it is. Gosh, I'm doing my yoga, breathing really deep over here." And then just recently, the possibility of, um, wait a minute, I wish him good health. This human being, it seems like he's suffering. He's going through, because the way he sounds really loud, the cough. So he doesn't feel well. So I wish him, health and healing. So that kind of opened up, like, wait a minute, how come I didn't see this before? I almost want to cry now because I treasure those moments, of realization. Like you said, parts of us are missing, they're not present. So that part of me just came and then said, it's okay, just wish him health. And that's what I've been doing now as a practice every time. And I kind of laugh a lot of times too. And then I kind of wish him from the heart, from love. It's not about me. It's not about this body getting sick from him, but him getting well. So it's kind of fascinating how it really takes curiosity, being open, right? To to get there. I know it's kind of funny, but so if you have a comedy show, it'd be nice for you to kind of, that would be funny, spiritual, jokes like that. It sounds like a joke, but it's not. It's actually it's true stuff. um,
And experience those human thoughts that we have, those human reactions in our mind that we have that sort of choke us off to our
yeah,
system, where we're just like, "Ugh, for the love of God, can't they do that for 45 hours elsewhere?"
yeah,
Like, those
yes,
that choke point of, like, choking us that contrast is sort of like a choke point that allows
Mm.
the flow of energy is constantly coming. So when we choke it
Uh,
off like that, sometimes this geyser of an epiphany, this epiphanic moment that you
yeah,
had, be like, wait a minute.
yeah.
So
Yes.
much sweeter when we're just baptized in the
Mm,
knowing and
mm,
in the stream of that energy of truth.
yes,
And so
yes.
often we can't get there when we're in the moment of frustration or when we're in the moment being like of disappointment or something,
Yes,
or when something breaks our expectations,
yes.
then immediately after having our internal reaction, it's like,
Yes.
how is the best we're hardwired, our neurology is hardwired to answer any question that we ask it, right? How
Yes.
is this the best thing that's happened in my life right now?
Mm,
How is this the
yeah.
best thing that could happen to me right now?
Yes.
And it switches our orientation to then search for the golden nugget treasure, which
Yeah.
you which you got in spades, like a kiss from the universe. That epiphany of understanding of being like, "Wait a minute,
Yes. Yes.
why don't I send the love that I am to this gentleman who is hacking up love?"
Yes. Yeah. Right. Coughing out of his mind, I know.
Yeah, and offer some kindness and then go get earplugs, like, whatever.
Yes, yeah, right. That's it. That's it. You see, because that really speaks truth to what we cannot control too, which is wisdom, isn't it? So that's when, of course, that's spiritual to the core when it comes to practical wisdom. Like, wait a minute, there's nothing you can do about this. So what is the other possibility here instead of getting angry, getting annoyed, or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Ha! Sending him love. And then that's, but of course, we have to do this from a place of honesty. It's not we don't want to do this. Like I have done it before, the spiritual bypass of just wishing everybody who did me harm good things when I could have done something, actually take action. It was a calling to act, but I backed down and I just kind of it became a trauma instead, and then I just got myself in a lot of trouble because of that. So I guess the last question for you, as I ask everyone, before I say we say goodbye, and before I ask the question about one message you wish everyone to take from this conversation, is there anything else you wanted to say that you left unsaid that somehow was there, trying to to be expressed, but I didn't ask the question or it didn't come to be. Is there something there, Paula?
I think the biggest thing to remember for ourselves is that we are in this experience to live it. We're here
Yes.
to live it. And in this moment, all of us are exquisitely, perfectly on our path and where we need to be along that path. Our soul self is right here with our human self. We have everything that we need to remember who we truly are, which is an infinite being with infinite possibilities, receiving from an infinite source,
Mm,
standing in the present moment, fully empowered,
yeah.
sovereign, and free, here to
Mm.
create and to play in the clay of
Mhm.
in whatever way is perfect for us.
Yes, I love that. Here to play. Yeah, that resonates, right? Yeah. Play with wisdom. Yes, from that place. Yes, yes. Namaste to that to you, and of course, in a huge kind of prayer to that. So before we say goodbye, if there was one message, if it was not that one, from everything that we talked today, if there was one message, just something, could be a word, anything you wish everyone to take with them for the rest of their lives to remember, what would that be?
The most important journey that we could ever take in this lifetime is to truly get to know ourselves wholly, learn to love ourselves unconditionally, so that we can live in the total freedom of
Yeah,
our authenticity.
yes.
That, to me, is the most
Mm,
important thing that we could do for ourselves and in turn for the world.
yes, yes, a billion times. Thank you for saying that. Yes, 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 yeah. How many? Yes, yes, because we can't really get to know anything else unless we get to know here, yeah, what this is.
And when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. Like,
Yes.
hurt people hurt people.
Oh, yes.
Whole people help people.
Ah,
So
yeah.
the biggest thing that we can do for the world is to heal ourselves
Mm,
whole. Period.
yes.
It's not a selfish endeavor. It is vital for us to see healing in the world.
So
Heal
true, Paulo. Thank you so much, Paulo, again, for your presence in this reality. Such a beautiful presence, authentic, present. What is not to love, right? About this, I have devotion for these things. If you have not noticed yet, there's a lot of devotion to anyone or anything that's seeking clarity, to give wisdom, to understanding. I don't know why, but I feel like almost compelled to be close to them, to go deeper into it. That's kind of I have observed that too. So I have deep appreciation and devotion for everything you are and everything you do. Thank you so much again for being you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I, in turn, have the deepest devotion for you. This is your greatest superpower, is with the clarity and ecstatic brilliance of your soul. You create a safe space like this for us to have this conversation. You are spectacular in nature.
Oh
I
my
love you
God.
dearly.
Yeah, thank you. It does feels it feels safe, right? I love that you said that because it feels safe for me too. That's interesting. A lot of my guests say that, but it's both ways. We are like feeling is the dance of of feeling safe as the human, the body mind complex, of course.
It cannot help but be reciprocal, right?
Yes, right. Because energy, right. So again, your website is polotate.com, and I'll have that on the video interview profile in the notes. Thank you again, Polo, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.